The 16th question is A and B are two vectors such that then what is the value of A plus B cross A minus B? The expanding this you get a cross A plus, or rather expanding this you get a cross A minus B cross A plus, sorry, it is minus A cross B, B cross A and minus B cross B. B cross B and A cross A is 0 because they are parallel vectors, and minus A cross B is equal to B cross A, therefore you get 2 into B cross A. Answer is A. We will move on to the next problem. It says a particle moves from point 1, 0, 2.5 to minus 2, 3, 4, wherein it is subjected to a force of I plus 4k newtons, and you have to determine the work. At this juncture, I would like to talk about work. Work is a dot product of force into displacement, force dot displacement. F dot ds is the work. Here ds is the displacement. It displaces from point 1, 0, 2.5 to minus 2, 3, 4. So the displacement vector dx is going to be minus 2 minus 1 times I plus j into 3 minus 0 plus k into 4 minus 2.5, which 3I plus 3j plus 1.5k. dw is f dot ds, which is going to be 3I plus 3j plus 1.5k into I plus 4k. So I will be, this will give me a minus 3 and 1.46, which is going to be 3 joule. We'll move on to the next problem. Now watch, the average angular velocity is maximum for the tip off. We'll know that for those of you who has no idea on what is meant by angular velocity is also a vector which is given by v is equal to r cross omega, where omega is the angular velocity. Seconds hand makes 2 pi revolutions in 60 seconds. A minute hand makes 2 pi revolutions in 60 minutes, and the hours hand make 2 pi revolutions in 24 hours. Angular velocity is d theta by dt. So the seconds hand among this is going to be 2 pi by 3600. This is going to be 2 pi by 24 into 3600. So the second hand has greater angular velocity. We'll move on to the next problem, which says the sum, difference and the cross product of two vectors are mutually perpendicular, which means that a plus b vector is perpendicular to a minus b vector. We have done a similar problem some time back. So if I call this as a c vector and this as a d vector, because it is perpendicular, given condition is c dot d should be equal to 0. The dot product is 0, based on which you get a square is equal to b square, or mod a should be equal to mod b, would be mod. We can't comment anything on the directions, can only comment on the magnitude. We'll move on to the next one. The sides of the triangle are represented by 2000 is to 1730 to 1000, which means that if you simplify this, it is 2 is to 1.732 is going to be root 3 is to 1. Now, so looking at the numbers, one can conclude it is 1 is to root 3 is to, one of the angle is 90 degree, this is 30 degree, the other one has to be 60. We'll move on to the next problem. This is once again a condition, a problem based on the fact that I have two vectors p and q which are equal, and r happens to be the magnitude. You will see that sometime back we said if I have two vectors f and f which are equal in magnitude and they are perpendicular, the resultant vector will be root 2f. Here it says p is equal to q is equal to or equal, and r, the resultant vector, is root 2p. So from that it's very clear that it forms a isosceles triangle of p, q and r, 90, 45, 45. In fact, this is a problem, and the next problem number 23 says that problem number 23, the statement reads as a particle starts from the origin with a constant acceleration of a is 2I plus 8j minus 6k and its position after t is equal to 5 seconds. So, a is given as 2I plus 8j minus 6k, which means that Sx is half ax t square. Similarly, Sy is half ay t square and Sz is half az t square. This gives me half into 25, 25I, half into 8 into 25, which is 100j, and the last one is half into minus 6 into 25, which is 3 minus 75. So, answer is A. The next problem is problem number 24, which says A is equal to 2I minus 3j plus k and B is 3I plus j minus 2k. You are expected to find the angle between them. So, for a problem of this sort, cosine is as, so A dot B would be mod A, mod B, cos theta. So, mod A is going to be root over 2 square plus 3 square plus 1 square rather. B vector mod B is root over 3 square plus 1 square plus 2 square. So, which is going to be 4 plus 1, 5 root 14. A dot B is given by 2 into 3. A dot B is given as 2 into 3 as minus 3 into 1 plus 1 into minus 2, which is going to be 6 minus 3 minus 2, which is going to be 1. So, A dot B is 1, which is going to be equal to root 14 into root 14 cos theta. So, cos theta is 1 by 14. Answer is D. Question number 25 says vector A and B are parallel to each other. Identify which is the right choice. A vector is 3I, 6 and 9. This is going to be the n vector. The n vector, NA vector and NB vector should be identical if for them to be parallel. You will see that it is A vector for choice A. I have I plus 2 plus I plus 2j plus 3k 3 times, and B is I plus 2j plus 3k. You will see that both would have the same unit vector. If you look at the B, look at the ratios, it is I plus 2j plus 3k into 3, and it is going to be I plus 2j plus 3k. We see A and B has the same value, so either of A and B are correct because both have the same unit vector, while the other two choices they differ in the directions. It is basically a typo error. While typing, we have made a mistake not taking the appropriate sign. So, you have two correct choices. Question number 26, you have to find the unit vector to be added for I minus 5j plus 2k and 3I plus 6j minus 7k such that the resultant is a unit vector. So, when we add up this, I will get a 4I plus j and minus 5k. So, to this if I add a vector axi plus ayj plus azk should be equal to I, which means that 4 plus ax is 1, j plus ay is 0, so is minus 5 plus a3 is also 0. This is supposed to be 1. So, ax is minus 3, ay is minus 1 and a3 is 5. Yes. Which of the following group of forces will not accelerate a body? For a body to be at rest or to move at a constant velocity, according to Newton's second law, Newton's laws of motion, sigma f should be equal to 0. This condition has to be satisfied, which means that the vector polygon should be a closed. I should get a closed vector polygon. Now let us examine we have 3 vectors. So a closed polygon would be a triangle, forming a triangle. The rule for forming a triangle is sum of 2 sides should be greater than the other side. The other side is going to be here, it is going to be the third side. Let us examine A. It is going to be, if we take 5 plus 10, which is greater than 12, so it can form a closed triangle. Look at B, 5 plus 10, which is going to be 16, 15, which is less than 16, or if I add either of these 3 numbers, it is going to be always less than 16, the other one. For example, if I take this combination 5 plus 10, which is less than 16, or 10 plus 16, which is obviously less than 15, or 16 plus 5, which is also less than 10. So this will not form a closed polygon. Look at this, the third choice, which is going to be 8, 10 and 20. 8 plus 10 is 18, which is less than 20. So this will also not form a closed polygon. Similarly, 7 plus 5, which is going to be less than, this will also not form. This forms a closed polygon. So this set of 5, 10, 12 will have sigma f is 0. So this set of forces will not accelerate the body. Choice is A. I have 3 vectors. Vector triple product A cross B cross C gives the volume of the parallel pipe. So A cross B cross C should give a volume, which means that if A cross B cross C is not equal to 0, then it is a non-coplanar. We will use this condition. One can use this condition and say if A cross B cross C is 0, then all the 3 vectors lie in the same plane and they are coplanar. To do this, all that we need to do is calculate this determinant value 2, minus 1, 1, 2, 1, 2 and minus 3, 3, P, 5. Equate it to 0 to find the value. I leave it to the viewers to solve this. The next problem is also a similar problem, so I will not discuss it for want of time. We will do this problem. It says the magnitude of 2 non-zero vectors A and B is 0. Vector product is A cross B, says A cross B is 0. Immediately we can infer the angle between A and B is 90 degree. Or okay, the scalar product of A dot A plus B. If for those of you who want to visualize this, let us take a plane which contains A vector and B vector. A plus B will be a vector which is there in the same plane. This is going to be A plus B vector. This is A vector. Now, the scalar product of A dot of A plus B will be A square plus B dot A. B dot A is going to be 0 because A vector and B vector are at an angle of 90 degree. So, the answer has to be A square. We will move on to the next slide. The question is a very open question. It says A is a vector and does not talk about what how A varies with respect to time, and is asking A dot dA by dt. If dA by dt is 0, which means that A is A of t is 0. A of t is a constant, not 0. Differentiating this is 0, which means that A dot B will be 0. If dA by dt varies with respect to time, is not equal to a constant. It's a function of t. Then it is different. As nothing is set, we will assume that dA by dt is 0, and we will go ahead and say that it is 0. Question number 33 says a force 9, 12 and 15 acts at a point which is in equilibrium. 9, 12, 15, if I were to simplify it, it is going to be 3:4:5. Something specific, something good about this number. This is called as Pythagoras Triple. It forms a right. This is 3, 4, 5. This angle is 90 degree. This angle is supposed to be 37 degree, and this is going to be 53. In fact, you will see sin 37 is 3 by 5, cos 37 is 4 by 5, and sin 53 is 4 by 5, cos 37 is this is going to be in a way it is 9, and this is going to be 15 in the ratios accordingly. So, the angle is 53, angle is 53 is going to be cos of 4 by 5. For a quick reference, a student is expected to know these values apart from knowing sine and cosine of 0, 30. A student is also expected to know 37 or 36, 45, 53, 60 and 90, both sine, cosine and tan, tan of these values. It says there's a problem number 34 says that there's a force of 1 Newton which acts along x axis and 2 Newton acts along y axis, the equation of motion. So, this is going to be F, which is going to be m into A is 1 Newton here, and this is going to be Fy is 2 Newton. So, acceleration Ay by Ax is tan theta, which is going to be y by x, which is 2. So, y is equal to 2x will be, so y minus 2x is 0 is a possible. The problem says a force F, which is going to be minus 5i plus 3j plus 2k, moves a body from position vector 2i plus 7j plus 4k to another position which is going to be 5i plus 2j plus 4k. So, the displacement vector dr is going to be 5 minus 2i plus 2 minus 7j plus 4 minus 4k. So, 3i minus 5j is dr. F is minus 5i plus 3j plus 2k. F dot dr is minus 15 and another minus 15, which is going to be minus 30 joule or 30 units. As nothing is said on the dimensions, we will take it as 30 units. I have two vectors whose direction cosines are given by L1, M1, N1 and L2, M2, N2. So, the dot products will be L1, L2 plus M1, M2 plus N1, N2, which is going to be equal to, if I call this as V1 and this is for V2, V1, V2 cos theta, or cos theta will be in terms of L1, L2 plus M1, M2 plus N1, N2. For people who haven't understood what is, who has forgotten what is direction cosine, L1 is Vx, Vx1 by mod V1, M2 is Vy mod V1, N1 is by mod V1. Similarly, L2 is Vx2 by mod V1, V2 rather, M2 is Vy2 by mod V2 and M mod V2. We will move on to the next problem. 12 coplanar vectors of equal magnitude act on a body such that it is in equilibrium, which means that sum of all the forces is 0 and they are equal. The 12 vectors should form a closed polygon of side 12. So, 360 divided by 12. 360 divided by 12 is going to be 30 degree. This is once again another statement which we have seen already. Two equal forces, the magnitude of resultant of two equal forces is equal to either of the forces, which means that A vector plus A vector is another A vector. This condition will satisfy only when the theta between them is 120 degree, A squared plus A squared minus 2A squared cos 1 A squared by cos 120 under root gives a, so cos 120 is going to be 2 pi by 3. It says two non-parallel vectors A and B equal in magnitude vector, and the vectors A minus B and A plus B will be, is asking how will they be oriented. So, A plus B, if you see A plus B is going to be the diagonal of the parallelogram, the longest diagonal, A plus B will be the longest diagonal, A minus B will be the shortest diagonal. This is A plus B, the other one is A plus B and this is A minus B. You will see that since A and B are equal in magnitude, the diagonals intersect, it forms a rhombus. The diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular to each other. This at a few, we have done close to around 50 odd problems, including the subjective and the objective type problems. This should give you an idea on how to handle problems in vectors, or in general how to apply vectors in real life situation. In the next lecture, we will talk about the next topic, which is basically equilibrium of systems. We will consider concurrent and non-concurrent forces and try to apply condition for equilibrium. This will be the next module for discussion. Thank you.